How's it going, guys? It is Kyle and we are back for another vlog, and today we're talking about difficult Breadies. And well, let's face it, right? Everyone's had at least one, and if you haven't, well, it's coming up pretty soon, right? So stay tuned and we can go through some tips and tricks on how to deal with them. So we're going to be talking about, well, one, how to deal with difficult Breadies. Two, how to move from plan A to plan B, or making sure we have another plan if they just aren't coming along or doing what we want them to do. And then lastly, what we're going to deal with is how do we actually write the review, and well, dealing with the fact that it's not always your fault. So let's get started. Cool, guys. So the first one that we're dealing with is participation, right? How do we get a Bready to participate that doesn't want to participate? And here's the thing, understand that these are just tips and tricks that have worked with me. They might work all the time and might not. However, it's not your fault that they aren't participating. As long as you try 110%, well, that's perfectly fine, right? So a couple of things from the younger Breadies that I found that they do. They hide away from the camera, they sit there with a mouthful of teeth, not really wanting to participate or anything, or they super hyper and they throwing things around and they just pretty much, well, for the guys, acting like ninjas, right? Punching and fighting and just, well, being boys or being kids. So here's how I deal with them. One, if they're hiding away from the camera, what I normally do is, well, John, where are you? You disappeared. I can't see you. Where are you under the book? Oh, where are you, John? And then they'll eventually come back to the camera, and they'll probably end up doing it about 5 or 10 times. However, keep doing it, but they'll get engaged and you'll start pulling them back. But as soon as they come back, John, hello. Can you tell me what this is? And then highlight something and then let them carry on with the lesson. Like I said, they'll do it 5 or 6 times. Just be prepared to find him or her 100 times, right? The other thing what I do is when they disappear is I'll grab my monkey and I'll start talking to my monkey, right? I'll even say, John's gone. Let me talk to my monkey. And then as I'm talking to them, they'll be, what is that sound? And they'll start coming towards the camera. They'll be engaged quickly. As soon as they get there, turn the monkey around, turn the teddy bear around, get Teddy to talk to them, right? And they'll just feel a little bit better and they'll be a little bit more engaged. Like I said, they'll probably do it 5 or 6 times, right? If not more. So that's the running away type thing, right? Older Breadies, it's a little bit more difficult. You can't whip out the monkey and you can't go look for them. But what I generally do with them is just play games, right? And I'm going to touch on that in the next section where we deal with plan A to plan B, right? But back to participation. Some of them, they just kind of sit there, they don't really dig the monkey. What I tend to use then is songs. Now, I won't always use the song at the beginning of the lesson because I use that as like a last resort, right? The loaded gun, bam. And what I mean by that is I'll start the lesson as best as I can to get them participating as much as I possibly can. And if I start seeing that it's failing, right? I'll start playing a song. Or halfway through the lesson, I'll start playing the song. Here's the deal though. I will never ever let the song play the whole way. So I'll stop it halfway, bam. And as soon as I've realized, or not necessarily halfway, as soon as I've realized that they've engaged and they kind of listen to the song, that's when you pull the plug, bam. And then they're still engaged. They might moan a little bit, but quickly get back into that lesson, bam. Bam, 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 bam. If you behave, we'll listen to the song at the end of the lesson. And then 20 minutes later or 5 minutes later, however long it is, once they've behaved a little bit, play the song again, but it only works if they enjoyed the song. So what I tend to do is watch the previous videos and see if they like the songs. If not, well, play a game. Last resort, participating, I would teach myself. What is this color? Ooh, I think this color's blue. What is this color? I think it's red. What is this highlight? Ooh, is that a circle? No, that's a triangle. And then start teaching yourself and eventually they will get engaged. If not, well, they're still learning because the class is still going on, right? Younger Breadies. Older Breadies are a little bit more tricky, okay? I've got one that's all over the place, or an older Bready that's all over the place. And what I mean by that is, well, he's doing everything except for focusing on the camera, okay? And it's always a challenge to get him engaged. And what I've found out is the quicker we move through the class, the less time that he has to think about other things, well, the easier it is for him to focus. So if I ask questions, slow it down, he kind of answers and does his own thing, he's very smart, right? But if I keep going, bam, 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 if I pummel him with questions all the time, well, he hasn't got a chance to do anything else but read or do the questions. And that's what I figured out works amazingly for him. It doesn't work all the time, right? So if it doesn't work, or if there's a chance that your Brady is a little bit upset, maybe sort of tearing up, maybe he doesn't really want to be there, again, teach yourself, okay? As long as the class is going through, well, it's perfectly fine, right? Explain it in the review. This and this happened. We still went on with the class. I hope that he picked up something, right? And then just teach. The main thing is don't sit there with a mouthful of teeth, right? Which leads me to our plan A to plan B. Make sure you've got a backup plan for you, okay? If this doesn't work because of whatever reason, well, he's not understanding it, he's not interested in it, make sure you've got another way to teach him. Even if you have to go, awesome, I've got these 2 pages, this page is a little bit boring, he's not really into it. Go to the next page, start teaching that page and see what happens. Come back to the previous page, right? Or review the previous day's page so he knows what's going on or she knows what's going on, and then it's a little bit easier and they might start being engaged, they might start talking. So like I said, just make sure that you've got that backup plan, right? Don't go into the classroom expecting your one plan to work. So what we're going to deal with next is reviews. How do we actually write up a review of someone that's, well, isn't really interested? Reviews. Last part of the video, right? And probably the most important part. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is a negative class doesn't mean it's going to be a negative review, and it doesn't mean that you're a terrible teacher, right? Or what that means is, well, it was a difficult class, it's going to be a difficult review, and hands down the next class is going to be so much better, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. There could be loads of different reasons why your Brady was difficult in that class, right? We don't know about it. So how do we put a positive spin on our reviews? By doing the following, right? If we can't comment on what he did in the lesson from an educational point of view because he just didn't take part, well, comment on his personality. You've got 25 minutes to 30 minutes to sum that up. He's a good listener. He listened to every single thing that I said. He didn't speak too much because he was a little bit tired, right? If you're going to say something negative, well, pump it up with something positive. He was distracted today, right? Instead of saying he didn't want to do anything today. Damn it, waste of time, right? He was distracted, but we still managed to get through this, and this. He did a really great job on this, right? And then in the improvement section, well, again, he didn't do this. I couldn't get him to do that. It just sounds negative, and the parents aren't going to be too happy, and you're probably not going to get the Brady again, right? And you want the Brady again. Why? Because you want to try and get them out of that shell. That's a great feeling inside, right? So the harder you work, the better you feel, right? But anyway, back to those reviews. So make sure that you put some sort of positive spin. Personality-wise, if you can't do educational, and educational-wise, if you can't do personality. And if you can do them both, well, even better, because it means your review is going to be so much bigger. But like I said, the main thing is don't stress. It's not always your fault, but positivity is the key, okay? And if you guys need help or tips, Daniel's got amazing advice, and he's got so many seminars on putting a positive spin on things and how to actually comment on this and not that and changing this. What I tend to use is distracted, tired, listened well, tried his best, all those sort of positive all those positive words, as opposed to going the negative route. It is difficult, but it's just going to take an extra bit of time, extra bit of 5-10 minutes. And again, what I also do is, besides making my notes, what I'll do is I'll look at the actual lesson that I taught today, and then I'll be like, so Johnny did say one sentence. One sentence is better than no sentences. Perfect. Johnny made a great sentence today. He didn't make much sentences, but he made one really good one. And then it just makes that review so much better. Cool, guys. So I hope that helped, and I will check you on the flip side.